Dude, there's a lot to be said for progress, and there's again a really good saying that a lot of people have tried to define happiness, but a lot of people say like happiness, not the definition of happiness, but the key to happiness is progress, and that progress, even the smallest amount, can really do a hell of a lot for somebody. And I can relate to that as well because I'm a bit of an idiot, and I, for example, when I was at college, to doing my access course to get into university, I swear to God, at the age of 21 or whatever it was, or 20, was like, it was probably 20. It was the first time I'd ever used Photoshop, and nobody at college was able to really show me how to do a rendering. I still didn't get that at university either, but I just taking photos at that time on a digital camera and plugging the USB into the computer, cropping them, changing contrast, adding a little bit of a filter. I got so much satisfaction out of that at that time. And it was such a fucking tiny, small amount of progress, but I got a lot out of that. So I can totally relate to what you're talking about.
And then it starts to influence actually also your work, because I think if you have this kind of little satisfaction, I mean, for somebody it could be running and it's fine. It doesn't need to be every time something creative, but I think you need to have this, let's call it side project. I think it's very important just to see the progress on your own, and then you can bring this happiness to your work. And actually, if it's something creative, or if it tries to be something creative, I think it's influencing again your work. And then it comes to the point where, like, for how long you want to be creative as a designer, right? In this creative field, not like being like super experienced designer, but the creativity, it can kind of fade out in some point. And this is something what has to be protected. And I think I found a way how to protect it by just creating more of a rubbish.
Zdenek, we need to talk about the NFT factor on the whole project. So I also feel like the last person to the party, but I've had two people on now, like Felix Holst and also Jordan Taylor from Designer's Pen.
Yeah.
And both of them, well, Felix didn't talk about NFTs, but I was like kind of asking him about like digital, like virtual garages, how he can see like digital assets being monetized in the future, or what sort of environment they could potentially live in the future. And we didn't quite get to this point, and it's probably my fault for not being more educated on the subject. But then even after Jordan talked about NFTs, I was like, that's really interesting, and we moved on, And then I discovered it on my own afterwards, like completely disconnected. I was like, shit, that's what he was fucking talking about. So I went back, listened to it again, and then obviously at that time, I was so excited. I called my friend Christian Grajewski a few weeks ago, and I was like, dude, like this shit's gonna change fucking everything. And I wondered how you came to the realization of this, and was this part of the incentive with the digital popsicles, or did this kind of come a little bit afterwards?
It's
no one's going to judge you for it if that was the intention.
I think the point was like, okay, as I started this thing last year, I didn't know anything about about crypto art and NFTs for sure. And then I think it was back in probably November last year. My life got back to the normal. I spent more and more time in the office, and I was like, okay, I think I don't have much time and energy, so I took a break from the popsicles, and I think I had this. There was a time I had this itch again, like I had a feeling like, okay, I need this kind of daily. It's like eating sugar, just like kind of virtually. I was like, yeah, I have to do something just to refresh. And I think I started, and maybe like one or 2 weeks later, I think I started to see like on YouTube, like people talk about it. So I started like, what is it? What the hell is it? And kind of little disclaimer, I'm maybe really just like half lesson in front of you, So I think I didn't really go into like very hard, but I see the potential for sure. I see some potential for my work as well. I started to mint some of the popsicles as a kind of collectible cards.
Was this towards the end of last year?
No. This was this year, very
Okay.
recently actually. I think it was.
Okay.
It was really like maybe 3-4 weeks ago, something like this. And yeah, as there was this whole boom of the thing, so everybody knew about it. And I think this is something where my algorithm is so screwed that I see it everywhere, like on YouTube and but still like trying to find out the thing. I believe in that in a kind of long term. I think what is the big mistake, and for some people it works, but they try to make some just quick coin,
Fast cash.
exactly. But like when people started to talk about it, I think it was really just okay, I can do whatever, and I just like, I don't think so. I think you really have to. It's maybe less about how many followers you have, because there are people who are very successful on different platforms, having like 1, 2, 3, I don't know, 5, 6,000 followers. But I think it is about like what kind of value you can bring to whatever community. And I see it really in a long term. So if somebody invests into my work, he believes that I'm going to continue with my work, and therefore my work will get better, my process will get better, and that's why his investments can potentially grow. This is what I somehow understood. So I have at the moment like one project, kind of popsicle project on the table. There were some guys who approached like, we have this product, can you mix it with your popsicle stuff, make kind of our design in your eyes, and we pay you by, you make them as a NFTs, and we buy them for our company. So this is also like some, I think there could be even like a commission work implemented in a kind of NFTs. But at the moment, I think it's really this buzz where millions of people are just thinking, okay, I just make a big cash out of nothing. And I think it will go away. I already see some kind of frustration of these people on the, I don't know, on Twitter or even on Instagram. And I think it will just, the dust needs to kind of settle. But I believe the pure, this NFT world, this will stay.
Yeah, we just need to work out who is the Ask Jeeves and who's the fucking Google at the end of the day, because and time will tell. At the moment, it's too early to say, and I think that the NFT space, the world, the technology is not fucking going anywhere, and it's going to be massive, and it's going to change everything. But there's a lot of crap in the space. And the bubble with regards to that is going to burst, and a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money, but there's going to be some really, really interesting things happening in the future. And I think like your advice with regards to, or you're not even giving advice, you're just saying what your intention is a really good mantra to follow, because somebody at some point, if they spent like a fortune on something that you've made with what is that fucking program called that you can just add warp pictures with, that people are using for trash art? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you mean. I don't know the name.
So it's like to explain it, it's like a really advanced Instagram filter. So basically, there was this whole trash art movement in the NFT space, and there was a really interesting example where this a well-known trash artist, he was on an exclusive platform like Nifty Gateway. It might have been Nifty Gateway, I don't know. But he basically went onto Amazon, screenshotted a picture of a fucking dustbin, sent it through this filter, minted that animation, put it on his Nifty Gateway, and they were like, fuck you, you're out of here. Like, you're done. And I think he sold it, I don't know. But it's like, it's one of those things where you can't blame the guy at all, because he's like, don't buy this is bullshit. And people still buy it. And the more people try and do that, the quicker it's just going to burst, and then we're going to go, it will go down. But, at some point, you need to think that everything is going to be on the blockchain. It's not going anywhere. And this is going to be public, and your name's going to be associated with that. So if you want to flood the market with shit, and you might make some money now, it might do damaging things to you in the future, because somebody's going to pay way too much money for something that is going to be worthless.
I think so. I think it comes to the point of having some kind of personal brand. Doesn't matter if it's your name or if it's like whatever handle you use on Instagram or any social media. But I think it comes down to that, where exactly you can, as you said, you can sell whatever shit if you have the name, and if you have followers, or if you have like enough audience to believe in that. And it also comes how the art before NFT was judged. Like, yeah, but this guy is doing this and he's selling it for this much, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter. It's the matter of supply and demand and what people would believe in, And I think this is somehow very important point to understand in these NFT games.
I like, if somebody came across the Popsicle stuff now, like I can't remember the first time I saw it. It was a few months back. Whenever we started talking was maybe sometime in the summer last year, or towards the end of the summer. I don't know. But Janko was the one that suggested that I reach out to you. So again, shout out to Janko. But after discovering the NFT stuff, and I saw you announce that you were doing the NFT thing, it kind of looked like if somebody didn't know that it was like this project was just created for the NFT space because it's such a great fit. But you're saying that you were unaware of the NFT thing when you started the project?
No, honestly not. I mean, actually the NFTs were there since I think I read like some
2017, I think.
17, these crypto kitties and stuff, but I was not into this.
CryptoPunks,
exactly.
I still don't entirely get it. I understand supply and demand, blah, 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 but fucking hell. Yeah. It's
a crazy world for sure.
So I was talking to Christian about the NFT thing in the concept art world, and it's like the brilliant thing that, I mean, it's a fantastic thing for artists, right? Like artists that are like super fucking talented, but for whatever reason they don't fit in the art ecosystem and all the schmoozing and whatnot that you sometimes have to do to elevate your personal brand and all that shit. And a lot of guys are doing really well out of it now and will continue to do that and have complete control over what they're doing. And from that standpoint, it's fucking brilliant. And Christian was saying there's this, which I totally understand, that there's a bunch of concept artists now that are basically just like quitting their jobs in these fancy consultancies because they can make more money doing NFTs. And I'm like, you know what? That's a fucking great thing. It's a win-win situation for the person that's creating the art in the first place. Because all that happens now is that one or two things happens. If you've got the goods and you are really talented, is that you can have complete independence, or if you're going to stay at said company, or you're going to apply for a new job, or whatever the case is, the company will be forced to fucking look after the people. And they will, if they want to keep somebody, if they want to employ somebody and they want to have them part of that organization and let them stay, then they have to start rewarding them and treating them with respect and creating an environment that people want to stay in. And I think that's a fucking great thing.
I think so. But as well, I think what is important to see here was you can see many of these concept artists, let's say, shifting to this NFT. I believe that they had this kind of momentum already before. So I see some disappointment of people, even like designers, like who would just try, like, okay, I have this dream, like I will make it in a NFT world, and I just, quit my job, and and then you would be frustrated right away, because I think you have to really build some kind of, I don't know, there needs to be some base, some kind of foundation where people start to buy your shit, But it's as an idea of independent artist, not to, I don't know, like doing some shitty agency work for some peanuts. It's amazing.
I think I just had a thought now. Actually, if you take a band, right, and if you take the fucking Rolling Stones, for example, their set list from a famous gig at wherever, the Whiskey in 1975, or whatever the case is, the set list for that will be worth a lot of money to somebody that's interested in the band, because of the band. Like it's a big fucking thing. It's more than a brand, but it is a brand. But they've got a story. They've got a body of work. They've got this big long history, and that's why something like that is super valuable. If you and I start a bullshit band now, and we go play at the local boozer, and we've got a set list, and we want to sell that, it's not worth anything, because nobody gives a shit, because we haven't created anything. And I think that that's the differentiating factor here with the whole NFT space. This whole the Beeple thing that sold for $70 million. Well, many people didn't realize it's fucking crazy, right? But what people didn't realize is like this guy is a legitimate artist, and he works his fucking ass off. And yes, he was at the right place, the right time, and the stars aligned, and he capitalized on that. But the point is, like, he didn't wake up and go, oh fuck, there's this legit technology, I'm going to create this JPEG and we going to strip clubs. You know, it wasn't like that. Like it was like this momentum is a great word for it. It was the right time, the stars aligned, but there was this backstory and this back catalog of work that was monumental.
13 years,
and that's
right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why that piece was so valuable.
I think it wouldn't be, it wouldn't have the value like any of his artworks if it would be just, you know, by, I don't know, like doing it for a year or something. So I think it really comes with the time. It's really the time he invests in and the energy.
Yeah, yeah.
But
yeah.
No, I just wanted to say, like, but somebody on some podcast asked him whether he believes, like, even like, okay, 13 years of work, is it worthy? Like $70 million? And it's like, no. It's like probably not, but it's, again, supply, demand, you know?
I think like supply and demand is such an important concept for people to grasp. And you can talk about this forever. You know, it's the same thing. Like if we go back to like my time at college when I was doing this foundation course, we also had to do like fine art as one of the specialisms, and it was something that I really struggled with. Like I didn't get it. I just didn't understand. I didn't understand it at all. Like there was this real boom of like Damien Hirst and Tracy Emin and they were, and the Saatchi artists, right? Mm-hmm. There were these shows on in London which I went to go and see, and I was like, fuck, like I Tracy Emin specifically, and I still don't fucking get it, but it's like she literally, if we were to simplify what she did, she went and bought a tent that anybody could have bought. She cut out a bunch of words out of felt, sewed them onto the tent, and those words spelt out all the people that I've slept with. And that shit was worth like a few £100,000 in this gallery. And I was like, fuck this shit. Like, I'm not into this at all. Like, what the fuck is this? You know? And then she had another piece where there was like this dining room table, 2 eggs, and 1 kebab at the bottom, right? And this was a representation of herself, self-portrait, like her breast and her vagina. And I was like, fuck that. Like, I cannot get into this. I cannot get behind the shit. It's fucking ludicrous. And yes, it is. It's fucking ludicrous at the end of the day. But there's a lot of fucking people that see value in it. And that is because of who she is. And all these, I could never intellectualize it. But the point is that she has probably done a lot of really, we haven't seen everything that she's done up until that point, where you get to the point where somebody like a famous art collector goes like, okay, I think your story is super interesting and you are interesting as a person and your ideas and your concepts are great. I think that there's some value of that in this fancy gallery in central London, and people are going to pay a ton of money to come and see it. And so I'm going to pay you $200,000 for half a day's work, but you don't see what happened before that point.
Exactly. And I think it's a good justification of somebody's work if you see that there is some progress which goes in some direction, and I don't care if the guy at the end spend this much time or this much time? Because isn't it like what we are trying to do at your job as well? By like becoming more and more, let's say, experienced and professional, like you can do things which might take you less time than it was 10 years ago. I think it's a bit different by, let's say, being employed, because by that you are sitting there by kind of time. But we shouldn't forget actually to, even if you implement it in your side private project or however into your work, just like you should be able to do things faster and you should be able to see it in the long term. So it should be also part of it.
Yeah, there's a great analogy of like, don't why am I paying a designer so much money to do something that took him an hour? And it's like, well, because it took me fucking 5 years to get to the point where I can do it in an hour, and that's the value. But I didn't get paid for all that time that I was developing myself, and that's why you inherently bring more value to the table. The more skilled and the more you master your craft, and it's a really interesting thing. Zdenek, I wanted to ask you before we kind of sign off, like, how do you think things are going to evolve in the car design space with regards to NFTs? Have you given it any thought?
I didn't think about it on that level of any like artworks in a car design. I mean, I think there could be some good projects. Like, for example, when you mention like some guy is doing just the full exterior and full interior with all the details. Like, I can see this. You can sell it to someone, and he can do whatever he wants. He can just keep it in his wallet. So this is what I see, and connect it to some kind of, I don't know, maybe assets for the games, where there could be kind of way how to implement it in your favorite game. I think there is I think there is an enormous potential of the things. We just cannot judge it from the point of view that I'm going to sell my sketch. I think it's just not enough. I think that field needs to be explored in a more complex way, because this is how you can actually bring some value at the end. And again, supply, demand, you have to create that, like that somebody is willing to, okay, this is cool project, and I'm going to buy this. So on the other hand, I see like many companies like doing some kind of smart contracts for their business. Okay, this is a bit of off from the NFT world, but talking in a blockchain terms. So many possibilities. I don't know like what could be the thing. Like, I can really see like if somebody is doing it like a concept artist, he's doing his designs project by project. So instead of like getting them for the portfolio, I think this could be a well used thing just to make it as an NFT.
There's so many interesting spaces that it can go into, and I've never, it might be to my detriment, but I'm not a big sci-fi guy. Most of the things that if I think of sci-fi, I always think of a story so far removed from reality that I can't get there. I struggle. I must be one of the only people in the design space that is not interested in Star Wars. I love the vehicles. I love the robots and all that. But the fucking story, I just can't get into it. I tried. And so please, anybody can hate me for it. I can't get it. But to try and understand where things could go and the possibilities of NFTs and but not just necessarily NFTs, but also what we could do with our skills in the future was for me to kind of open my imagination a bit more into that and to maybe realize things as I watched Ready Player One for the first time a few weeks ago, and this was kind of really interesting to me because it's I mean the concept is totally normal, but I needed something to kind of catch my imagination. Like, are we really going to be spending all this time in the virtual space? And I think the short answer is definitely in this kind of augmented space. And there's all these different uses that we could have for if we just keep it on like digital vehicles for the future. It could be that. I was always just thinking in a gaming context. I always just thought like, will there be a game where I can bring in my own digital car? Of course, 110%. But that is like a tip of the iceberg, you know. This is not taking into account these kind of the digital virtual spaces in the metaverse, which is like a real fucking thing, and it's already happening now where people are spending money on digital real estate. And you will hang your digital art in these spaces. You could have your digital car in the digital garage in your digital fucking house in this metaverse. This is a concept to me that, again, super late to the game, and but I'm really interested in it. It's the first time my imagination has been sparked to be excited about this, you know.
So, I think I'm not sure if it's too late. I mean, come on, it's just started.
I'm not saying it's too late. I'm saying I am late to understand the where, like, I'm late to be inspired by where things can go. That's what I'm saying. No, I'm not saying I'm not saying it's late. We haven't even fucking started. We haven't seen where this shit's going. But I was kind of getting frustrated because I couldn't quite see where we can go to, you know, and an exciting place we can go to. The closest that my reference point before was like the Matrix with a big spike in the back of your head, and I was like, fucking not into that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I got it.
So that's what I mean by late. I mean, I'm late to understand. I mean, I still don't understand it, but I'm late to be inspired. That's what I mean. It's not with regards to where things are going. We haven't even started yet. I think we're in a massive shift at the moment.
But I think, like for anyone who is kind of in the same position, like being with this mindset of being late to get inspired, I think there is a point like you don't have to understand the whole thing, you know. It's like with I don't know, it could be with cryptocurrencies. Like, I think nobody really understands the whole thing, you know. It's just like you understand your part, you do your part, and you make it work for yourself, you know. I think it's the same with NFTs.
Yeah.
Or whatever comes. So,
Zdenek, what advice do you have for young people starting out today that might feel a bit hopeless and that there's no jobs available and that it's such a bullshit time? What advice would you give them?
I would say one thing would be the patience. It's like, you have time. You have time to figure things out. So the patience is the one thing. And once you are already in the game, I think it's something what we talk about. It's very important to have something on your own And it's good if it's some kind of creative project where you can, you are the only judge of your work, and you come to the point where you are ready when you are ready, and nobody's going to review your work. If they're going to talk about it later, it doesn't matter. It's just like it needs to bring the joy, and this is something you cannot just expect the same joy as you had at the beginning of your studies, of your work, that you would keep up the same passion. I think it's still there, but it's different, and it's good to have something. So that would be the thing.
Dude, I really enjoyed meeting you and talking to you, and I feel a little bit less stupid now. And yeah, it was really good. So thanks very much, and I hope that we can meet in person at some point. So
I hope. It was the same for me. The pleasure. Thanks for having me.